can work with the database. But if you're looking at doing complex billing and call rejecting or routing based on something that is in the database, the code adds up. So at some point, it's better to just write a query in Active Record and call it a day. How does Adhearsion talk to platform? First of all, AHN is the official abbreviation because the name is too long. Asterisk is reached through async AGI. It used to be AGI and AMI. Adhearsion 1, Adhearsion 2 only uses async AGI, which is basically AGI over AMI. FreeSwitch uses the inbound inland socket, so in both cases, and also in the Prism case, which is through Rio, it's Adhearsion that will connect to the platform. So we're going in not, so Adhearsion is a client, not a server. So how does an Adhearsion application work? Aside from configuration, you have call controllers and routing. Routing means which call controller is invoked based on some condition, usually a phone number, could be time of the day, could be any other. It's similar to the Rails routing. Then the Adhearsion command provides what you need to basically create and run an application. This is only a 30-minute presentation, so I won't be going through the real basics because they're well documented. I'd like to show you what you can do, and then you can dig in. So call controllers hold the application logic. The run method is what is the entry point, so it was used to run the controller. And this is different from, say, a web controller where every method will be an action. Here, the run method is what is invoked for that controller. As you can see, this is a very simple example. This controller answers the call, because if you don't answer, you're going to be using early media by default, so it's built in. Play something, whistles, and then hang up. Also, hang up it has to be explicit, because otherwise the controller will run until the end of the code. Well, if so, in that case, that hang up is redundant, as it will hang up anyway because the call is over, but it might not be the case. So we can handle playback, menus, user input, and recording in a transparent fashion, very simply. We have a very good configuration system, and which allows you to have configuration that is also self-documented and can automatically import values from environment variables. So you can just run your production with something setting the A and B variables, and that's all you need. There's a good plugin architecture that we use later. And routing is very good and pretty complex, but also simple to use if you know what you're doing. Testability, all Adhearsion applications are fully testable using RSpec and if you're so inclined, Cucumber, using the helpers we've developed, and also in general, controllers are just Ruby classes. So you don't need anything special unless you're doing functional testing. If you mock at the correct level, tests will just work. So, sounds great, yeah? But extensions.conf does it all. No, it doesn't. Stop using extensions.conf for applications. So, demo time. So, this is a little longer as a controller. I like putting code in my slides because it's all in one place, but there's also a GitHub repo with everything you see now. So, this controller basically will ask you for menu, will ask you for if you want to test input or record a message. If you press 1, notice we have timeout, invalid, and failure support. So timeout is when the user doesn't press anything, or in case of multi-digit input, it just presses 1 digit and then stands there. Invalid will tell the user that his input does not match one of the possibilities, and failure will, after a set number of tries, 3 tries in this case, will tell the user, I couldn't get your input. So this is a pretty complex state machine, which is usually the case for a menu, reduced to a simple and usable DSL. And depending on what you click here, it will go either to enter number, which will ask the user using this sound for a number, and then just play it back, or record a message. Recordings are saved to in a file format, so to play it back in asterisk, we actually need to clean it up, remove file and remove .wav, because as you know, asterisk plays files without extension. So, let's get to the demo, which involves going out of. So I have an Adhearsion application running and an asterisk application running on my machine. I will just dial.
Press 1 to test input. Press 2 to leave a message. Please enter a number. 3,
That's all. I'm probably missing a sound file because we should say you pressed 3. Recording is more of the same, just ask you for recording, and then we'll save everything in save it in a file. This is the Adhearsion console. This is pretty powerful. Now I set it to debug to show you that everything that comes in and out of Asterisk is translated to an internal Adhearsion event, so we can handle any event that happens in a transparent manner. We usually run at a little less verbose state, or otherwise it's very difficult to go on working. So this was probably not a very interesting demo, but at the same time it shows what you can do. So events. Adhearsion allows to trace and react to events. So you can send commands, but you can also do stuff based on what the server is telling you. You can use guarded handlers. Guarded handlers is a library we use to define events handlers. So you can, all classes, anything in an Adhearsion app can set an event handler that will be asynchronously called when that event pops up and execute the block accordingly. And you can also just run an events block like the old Adhearsion one, which is the way actually I prefer to handle recurring events. So this code goes in a separate file and will just handle all events from PunchBlock. What's PunchBlock? PunchBlock is just the underlying library for Adhearsion that has the task of getting the events into the system. So PunchBlock in this context means all events. All events will be published on a Faraday connection. So what you do is distribute events to browsers with WebSockets, for example. You could be doing a simple dashboard that shows which of your SIP peers are online at any given moment, what they're doing, if they are on call, if they are waiting in a queue, or whatever, any other events you want to handle. So this brings up to the second demo. If I can just bring it up. Which is events. So this is the fastest way to show you this is just to turn off Blink for a moment. So as you can see, I turned off Blink and I got the unregistered event. I got this unregistered event in my browser. Obviously, in this scenario, I'm just pushing whatever the inspect for the event is to the browser. You could be doing any kind of logic with this. I'm back to being registered, and I got pushed out to fail. So the ability to interoperate with any different system is, I think, what sets Adhearsion apart from other solutions. And we will build some pretty cool stuff with it too. Good. So some plain spaghetti monster. Plugins. So what you just no, it's not what you just saw. This is another plugin. For example, there is a lot of plugins for Adhearsion. Most of them involve some functionality we took out from core, such as there's an Adhearsion asterisk plugin that gives you execute and BG execute and all the other methods that are not in core any longer because we rely on Rio, which is a cross-platform protocol. Virginia is a plugin I built that embeds a real app in your application. What's a real app? It's simply a simple web server. So you can do this. Adhearsion will pop up a server on the port you tell it to. And has anybody else used Sinatra here? Well, okay. So, but anyway, Sinatra is a simple DSL that allows you to define very short and simple web applications. What we're saying here is react to a get on the dial URL, so it will be localhost this and that /dial by doing this. What we're doing is an originate, which telephony people know what it does. So we're going to call the number. What's cool is that we can make it, when the call is connected, we can have it drop into one of our controllers. So we can say, ask people if they want to receive a call. Our customers use this to do robo-dialing, which we'll see later. So basically, they dial up to people, ask them if they're interested into commercial offer by using TTS. If they're interested, they drop in the controller that takes them to a human sales rep. So they can have the minimum amount of sales rep and still get a lot of sales, because their experience proved that people will hang up if it's TTS or if it's a human. If they're not interested, will hang up anyway. So using TTS allows them to have very few people handling calls. Second demo time. So what we're doing here is, this code is all live. I brought this up on my machine, and what to do is simply when I click this button, the server will dial me 100, ask me if I want to take the call. If I want to take the call, I will be connected to the other number, which is 200, just by clicking a button on the browser.
Out your call from. Please wait while I connect your call. Out your call from an
So now 100 has been dialed and it's been connected to 200, which is the other user, and now they're talking. Hello. Hi. Would like to buy a used car? Yes, sir. So that's how it works. We sold a used car. Is it? So I think you're sold now, right? You want to see more? Great. So I was thinking of, I will actually cap off my presentation by going through some of what our customers do as Mojolingo, which is not to say, it's not to do any publicity to anyone. It's just because real life use cases are what people use to decide if they're interested in the framework or not. No one wants a product that is not used because it means it will not be supported or probably is not good enough. So let's start with my personal flagship project because I built the thing. Ring Plus is an MVNO and MVNE, which means they are a mobile virtual network operator or enabler. It's simply a cell phone company that doesn't have its own network but rents the radio space from a larger carrier. And they built everything to be able to also sell this service as a package to other people interested in becoming their own phone provider. Their goal is also to get into companies and have them have their own phone provider to get costs lower. They do over-the-top applications, so they do music ringtones, billing, recharging, all stuff. And they also have a very interesting functionality that is in-call apps. So while you're speaking to someone else and say the person is telling you how to get to this house, I always forget those directions, and usually you're in the car, so you don't have it, and you do not have anything to write it down. Just press 5. We'll take you to the in-call without breaking the call. We'll take you to a menu that you can configure. Where say you have 1 as record this call. You press 1. An announcer tells people in the call that they're being recorded for the time being. Your friend tells you where he lives. You press 1 again. Recording goes down. You find it in your on your smartphone in the companion application for Ring Plus. So you can listen to it again, and that's just one of the uses. Most exotic uses involve automated translation between two parties that don't speak the same language. We've been experimenting with that. Obviously, the barrier there is the quality of ASR and translation services. So, but this is still interesting as a proof of concept. And Adhearsion here powers all call logic, billing, and features. Sprint, which is the underlying provider, just gives us a SIP pipe that ties into our servers. We handle everything else, from routing to billing to all the apps and features. If by phone is basically is an ad support company. What they do is when you place an ad, they give you different phone numbers for every medium you're using. So you have a phone number for newspaper, phone number for the web, and phone number for SMS marketing. And they basically use this to measure which channels are better for your business. So all numbers go automatically to the same menu or IVR. And they also do a hosted IVR for the company. So say you want to do phone marketing, but you don't have a structure for that, they will provide you with a hosted IVR that leads people through the choices you decide, and then just to a sales rep if you want to. And it also does ad tracking, as said, and lead tracking. So after you get called, they provide you with a platform that will have all the data for the call, how long it was, the phone number, time of the day, as the person called or the system before or not. All of this is powered by Adhearsion. This is actually a very complex Adhearsion 1 application. We are in the process of porting to Adhearsion 2, but we can still do that. So, PHRG. These are pretty large companies, only not known in Europe, especially PHRG, because PHRG is the largest American provider of renovation. You know that American houses usually built out of panels and not much in the way of bricks and concrete. So basically what they sell is renovating your house by replacing entire sections of it, whether it's windows, an entire wall, or doors. So they're not related to IT directly. But at the same time, these are our largest customer per call volume. So what happens is that they do that robo-dialing thing I explained earlier. They have a system that has prospects in it. The system will go pick up the prospects, dial them, an automated voice will ask them if they would like to speak to a sales representative, and if they accept, they go place it in a queue and speak to a live rep. Another thing they do is appointment confirmation. So you're interested, you tell them you are, you tell them the sales rep will come to your house at a certain time, you will get a call the day before or whatever you set it to that tells you that to be at home tomorrow at 10 a.m. because the sales rep from PHRG is coming to visit you. And all this data, including everything real time, so when a sales rep goes to the appointment, he can then report it in, and all the accepted appointment, rejected appointments, the sales rep performance, everything is pushed to a CRM platform that has a mobile version. What is impressive here is the number of calls they run last year, which is over 5 million calls in 2012, and they're looking at doubling that figure this year to 10 million. So that's one call every 5 seconds. It's not 50 CPS we were debating last night, but it's still an impressive amount of calls, especially because they're all live and all of them go through databases and web services of various. So this is an Italian service I built, and what they do is a prepaid translation service for travelers. So you buy a phone card that has a international number in it, and also a few others for countries that don't support that international number. You can call that number and they will make you get in contact with someone that speaks the language you ask for. What happens here is that actually it's sort of a very large distributed call center. So the translators are not physically in an office or somewhere, but they're at home sitting at their computers, so they have access to a soft phone, or on their cell phones where they can use an app we developed, or even just their cell phone as in getting called on cell phone. What we do here, Adhearsion is used for billing and credit management. Those prepaid cards have a set number of minutes that gets decreased. We whisper into the channels and telling the people that credit is low, and all that kind of interesting functionality. And we also do, the core of the application is doing the translator search with AMD detection and adaptive selection. This is fancy terms to say we basically say we want someone that speaks Chinese. We will call the first on the list, and if it's, you know that many cell phone companies actually have some sort of answering machine if your phone is actually turned off. So we need to detect that because we want the person to speak to a live rep, not to an answering machine, obviously. So we need to detect that. And we also do adaptive selection, so people that call the same, the service for the same language on subsequent times tend to be connected with the same rep as possible, which is important because if you had an issue where you were on vacation in a place you don't speak the language from, and you call again, you probably want to speak with the person that handled the situation the first time. This service is actually going quite well. They have over 30,000 customers. So, what are we going to do in the future? This is Adhearsion now. All the apps you saw are in production, live, with thousands of users. So I will say we've been tackling scaling pretty well. So there's still a lot to do. So WebRTC. Everybody loves WebRTC, right? Yay! So Adhearsion can obviously perform all third-party call control since Adhearsion does not sit either in the signal and path or in the media path. So we don't really care about WebRTC in the sense that we can handle WebRTC applications in the same way we handle normal applications. So with WebRTC and SIP and other, what we built on other projects I cannot mention by name, we built multiple device tracking and switching. So what happens is that when you call, you say you're on your cell phone, you get to your computer, you want to sit down and not hold the phone to your ear, you can just press a button and send the call to your computer. You get up, you go in the living room, you move the call to your smart TV or your iPad or whatever without any loss of conversation or signal. Next thing we're going to be doing is protocol convergence. So we're going to bring XMPP is already a first-class citizen in Adhearsion. We're going to integrate messaging and presence in the framework so you can get easy events in the same format you get them from the telephony platforms. All of these are already implemented in upcoming products, which I cannot mention by name, but you'll see them when you recognize them when you see them. So, just what's going to happen? Adhearsion 3.0 is currently at the planning stage, and we're deciding what we want to do it. What we decided on is what we want: a unified communication platform. So all XMPP events and messages will be handled by Adhearsion in a unified format, so we can have messaging controllers in addition to voice controller. Simply treating, what our idea is treating messaging as another kind of media, like SIP does. So everything is unified. We need better ASR support. Currently, our ASR support is limited to what the platforms can do. We would like to detach from platform specifics of every ASR engine and build some abstraction layer you can use, so you can have ASR even if you don't know how it works better. And we're revamping the component structure, which is maybe something that is not that interesting at this level, but the components are quite complex at the moment. Some of them need to be broken up in parts.
Look, we actually are at 9:30, so.
Oh, well, come to Adhearsion Conf 2013. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Luca?
ASR automatic speech recognition.
Then it'll be pointing at an angle.
I'm gonna put down the thing.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes down or not. I think it's kind of bolted in, but we can try.
No, but the top part will roll.